Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. I have a pimple on my 5 head today, so I want to cover it up. Fine, you can see my pimple. I've finally become a howly lady of a certain age, which means that I have to wear hats everywhere. Hashtag hat brim pimple. I'm gonna blame the rest of it on sunscreen and PMS. So anyway, super unfortunate breakout aside. I have my breakfast here. I have some soaked oats. Oh my goodness, so delicious. Namwa bananas. They're like this Thai dessert style banana. They are so good. I also have some frozen mango, frozen blueberries, and a little bits of sunflower seeds on top. I got lots of vitamin E in the sunflower seeds and mango, tons of antioxidants in the blueberries, B vitamins in the bananas, and selenium in the oats. I am excited to eat this, so I'm gonna go do that, and then we will get on to our very important topic for today, which is, of course, lectins. So lectins are glycan-binding proteins, and they are used in the defense and immunity of virtually all Earth-based life forms. Since humans are, last I checked, Earth-based life forms, we do make our own lectins. And every time we sit down to enjoy a meal, a snack, or some poo-poos at our favorite eatery, we are, like all heterotrophic organisms, without exception, consuming dietary lectins. Some dietary lectins can cause acute inflammation or imminent death, while other dietary lectins just pass through us without any effect at all. The issue with lectins is that they bind to carbohydrates, and there are carbohydrates throughout our bodies. Some research performed in vitro and in rats has found that highly concentrated amounts of certain types of plant lectins can bind to the cells lining the intestinal tract. Now, the theory goes that when a lectin binds to an intestinal cell, it causes damage to that cell, and it can loosen the junctions between the intestinal cells, creating a condition called leaky gut syndrome. Now, leaky gut syndrome is highly correlated with food sensitivities, allergies, and autoimmune conditions. So it's a big deal, and we need to pay attention to the factors that can lead to leaky gut. And certainly we will talk about those potential issues with plant lectins in a couple minutes. But first, I want to be really clear that there are lectins in all foods. There is no way to avoid or eliminate lectins from our diet, and it breaches the borders of absurdity to imply that we could or should adopt a lectin-free diet. Also, please keep in mind that animal products, animal foods, can and do contain large amounts of glycan-binding proteins. And in addition to binding with carbohydrates, those glycan-binding proteins have been found to bind to proteins, fats, and nucleic acids as well. So I think the most important question to answer in this video is, how do we avoid potentially harmful lectins? Fortunately, most of the foods that we know to be edible for humans contain harmless lectins, or they contain lectins that are virtually completely deactivated by basic cooking. Some of the better-known lectins are found in legumes, but fortunately, the cooking required to make legumes edible, generally speaking, reduces anywhere from 95 to 100% of the lectin content. Soaking can lower the lectin load of many whole plant foods like legumes. However, what we really have to do to deactivate the lectins, especially those in legumes, is boil them. And yes, I do mean boiled. Research looking at the lectin levels in legumes, both before and after cooking, has found that it has to reach boiling point, and that the temperatures reached in cooking methods like slow cooking or crock pot cooking are inadequate to deactivate the lectin in certain types of beans. So you guys might see in the background there, I have my Instant Pot. It's an electronic pressure cooker, and a pressure cooker is one of the best ways to deactivate lectins in legumes. So if you have one, use it. If you don't, maybe put it on the wish list, and until then, just make sure that you bring your beans to a boil while they're on the stove. Now, some lectins in whole plant foods, like those in peanuts and tomatoes, are heat stable, which means that they are not deactivated during the cooking process. However, it is well known that those heat-stable lectins, generally speaking, for the vast majority of people, move through the digestive tract without any harm. And they may actually do some major good. Which brings us to the very important question. Do I need to spend my limited time on this big, beautiful earth worrying about lectins? And the answer is, without a doubt, yes. You really do. Please spend 2.5 seconds every week worrying about cooking your beans correctly. And though the evidence is mixed, if you have an autoimmune disease, if you have inflammatory bowel disease, or if you have medically confirmed leaky gut syndrome, it could be really wise for you to pay attention to your lectin consumption. Because here's the thing, even though humans are all pretty much the same, we do have some dietary uniqueness among each and every one of us. There are such things as food sensitivities, and lectins could definitely be one of the avenues that those sensitivities are triggered. So if you know from experience that every time that you eat peanuts or bananas or an almond or bok choy or any food and it doesn't agree with you, if you have a bad stomach ache or your psoriasis flares up or your eczema gets worse or you get a breakout, then by all means respect that food sensitivity. As an example, I do not have celiac disease and I do not have an actual allergy to wheat. And over the course of the last few weeks, I have read study after study about how good for you wheat can be and how not harmful wheat lectins are. But I know from experience that when I eat wheat, I get pimples all over my jaw, like big, bad cystic acne pimples. Got it. And I know that it's the cause because I did a strict elimination diet. I didn't eat wheat for 2 or 3 months, very strict about that. And then I introduced a large amount of wheat all at once, just to see what would happen. And sure enough, I got an awful cystic acne breakout under my jaw, and God help me, it lasted more than 6 months. So despite the opinions of many plant-based doctors that avoiding gluten is useless unless you have celiac or an allergy, and that gluten sensitivities don't exist, and that I'm just trying to follow a fad by eating a gluten-free diet, I do know that I have a sensitivity. And I don't know for sure, but it could be because of a lectin found in wheat. I don't know. But I also know that just because I have a sensitivity to wheat, and some people have wheat allergies, and some people have celiac disease, that doesn't mean that no one should eat wheat, or that it's bad for us. It just means that I have a personal sensitivity and it's my job to respect that. Also, if you suspect that you might be sensitive to a certain food and you think that maybe a lectin is to blame, keep in mind that looking up these high lectin food lists or lectin-free diets are not necessarily going to help you figure out your food sensitivity, because lectin issues are not dose dependent, they are type dependent. As an example, it would take an itsy bitsy microdose of ricin, the lectin found in castor beans, to just frickin' kill you, okay? You could eat 10,000 times as much of a different lectin and be totally fine. Nothing happened to you. So just remember that the amount of lectin in a food is completely erroneous. What matters is the type of food and the type of lectin in that food and whether or not you are personally sensitive. Which will bring us to why I am actually really stoked to eat plenty of lectins found in lots of healthy whole plant foods. So a lot of foods that are famously rich in lectins have been rigorously studied. Beans, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables are well known to increase life and health span. There is copious scientific evidence across the span of study design proving that beans, whole grains, fruits, and vegetables are great for humans. And that could be because many lectins found abundantly in whole plant foods have been found to have anti-tumor and anti-cancer effects in vitro, in vivo, and in case studies. In vitro studies have tested lectins against many different types of cancer, and generally speaking, lectins seem to be extremely capable of causing cancer cell death, or at least delaying tumor growth. That's huge, but what really excites me are the studies on colon cancer, which is a phrase I never thought I'd say. Many types of lectins found in whole plant foods, like the kinds found in peanuts, are able to preferentially bind to tumor cells while leaving normal cells completely alone. The lectins are able to do this because they are attracted by changes to the mucin of cancerous cells. And once those lectins have bound to cancerous cells, they are able to suppress or kill the cell, again, while leaving normal, healthy cells completely unaffected. And this could very well be another reason why lectin-rich whole plant foods are associated with lower rates of colon cancer. I'm feeling really comfortable about eating beans and peanuts. And also, before we wrap up, I would never forgive myself if I didn't just mention, we humans are only barely starting to understand the immense complexity of the interactions between mucin, gut cells, and bacteria, and fungi, and chemicals, and the immune system that's taking place inside of our intestines all the time. But I can tell you something really important. There is an extreme lack of evidence that properly prepared, known to be edible whole plant foods could in any way contribute to the development of leaky gut syndrome or other gut health issues. Fibrous, prebiotic-rich whole plant foods are just consistently associated with better selective permeability of the intestines and better gut health in general. Yet at the same time, saturated fats and refined oils are downright known to loosen the tight junctions between our intestinal cells, leading to leaky gut syndrome. And so, quite frankly, it is a ludicrous misrepresentation of reality to imply that the same whole plant foods that are so closely associated with gut health and increased health and lifespan could be the same foods that are degrading our health. So I will just end this discussion by saying that when theories contradict science, common sense, and experience, we ought to be very suspicious. And there are, generally speaking, financial incentives when lies get so outrageous. Okay? Okay. Lectins are an unavoidable part of being a heterotrophic organism. We don't have to freak out about it, though we can be aware of specific food sensitivities that might uniquely affect us. And on that note, since I had to pause about 37,000 times for helicopters to fly over my house while we were filming, it's almost lunchtime. Okay, I got my lunch all finished over there, and since I forgot to this morning, I'm gonna go ahead and take my supplements for the day. Total transparency, I do not remember to take these every day, so I probably get them 4 or 5 times a week, and in my opinion, after reading about these nutrients, I am perfectly happy with that. It feels totally adequate. B12, as always. Always forget to shake it. And a half serving of the Nature's Way liquid omega. And for lunch, I have a beautiful plate of leftovers. I had a russet potato from dinner last night, some black beans hiding over there, about 1/4 of an avocado, some home sprouted broccoli sprouts, some not impressive canned salsa, and then I have some sauteed kale and onions hiding under there, and then just a little bitty sprinkle of pumpkin seeds and hemp seeds, because like a little bit more micronutrients, I'm not gonna complain. So all of these leftovers from dinner over the last couple of nights Took me like 2 minutes to throw it all together, but it is going to be a really hearty, delicious, and healthy lunch. I'll see you guys for dinner. Alright, it is dinner time. I am enjoying a jar. It was about 1/3 kombucha, 1/3 hibiscus tea, and 1/3 pink grapefruit flavored sparkling water, and it is my favorite combination, I think, of all time. I also have a beautiful dinner right here. Check out that beauty. I have bok choy. I just threw it into a hot, dry pan, put a cover on it, let it steam itself for like 3 or 4 minutes, stirred it once. I have some kidney beans, which are very high in lectins, but I'm not worried because I soaked them and I pressure cooked them. So these puppies definitely boiled, and so they should be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 0 for lectin content. Corn on the cob, steamed for a few minutes. I have some steamed pumpkin hiding in there, an avocado, and a little scoop of jasmine rice. I think that is the most modest serving of rice ever on this channel. And then I did a little drizzle of tahini, some sweet chili sauce to crisscross, and I think this is just gonna be a perfect, yummy, nutrient-dense dinner for me. All right, you guys, I hope this video has been informative and helpful. If it has been, you know, a thumbs up always means a lot to me. And as always, until next time, make better choices for yourself. No one's gonna do it for you, and take really, really good care of your sweet selves. I will see you guys very soon. Bye.
What? Huh?
Oh my god.
Bye.
Like living with a child.
What?
What?
I heard that.
I have to go put my eating clothes on.
Huh?
See, that's what you get. I can't be
I got you.
skinny jeans. I can't get it. No, just take off the pants!
Okay. Fuck, I have food all over my shirt.
What's new?
I know, right? I changed my other shirt because there was food on it. This one has food on it too.
You just slobbed. Okay, I have to block your face
Why?
because it'll focus on your face.
Ooh, much better view.
Okay, so dinner. Jesus Christ. I know I usually feel super self-conscious about breakouts, but I kind of feel like I'm rocking this forehead pimple.